Welcome to episode 61 of your source of comic book news and culture.
This is Variant Edition.
Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick. So last week we started getting back to how we used to do Variant Edition.
You mean with more than comic reviews, right? Because we pretty much do Variant Edition the same way we always do.
Yeah, because lately we've been running pretty much only comic book reviews. But last week, we started getting some other segments going. Remember, Variant Edition is comic book news, reviews, and culture. So
last week was the turn of my bullet points, and you had your radioactive minutes.
That's right.
I wonder what we're bringing back this week.
Well, the long-awaited return of the statue and toy reviews, that's right, everybody. And a brand new segment from Lewis, Research or Retcon.
Can't wait for that. And next week, you bring back the news, don't you?
That's right, and as you all know, it's San Diego Comic-Con is this week, and we cannot contain all that news on just a Tuesday.
Nice. All right, now that we have you itching with participation, you're itching with anticipation. You should probably get on with the show, huh?
Yeah. So prepare yourselves for a full dose of comic book culture that isn't going to be screwed up by syllables and silly things like that.
All right, so it's time for another Toy and Stats review, except it's been quite a long time since we've had a Toy and Stats review.
Yeah, a real long time.
And we may look a little different from the last Toy and Stats review, but hey, this is what you get. And we're coming back with the Bowen Apocalypse statue. And it's just a beautiful piece. Who designed this, Lewis?
The Kuchar brothers did this one. It's a limited run of 2,000. It stands about 15.5 inches tall. It's really nice. And the cool thing about it is, too, I know Bowen did his homework. The hieroglyphics that are etched into the base of the Apocalypse statue actually spell out Apocalypse when you decipher them. So I think that's actually really cool.
That's actually pretty cool. Bowen's really known for his bases not just being, just kind of slabs of plastic or something.
Yeah, they're so amazing. Like they can either actually make or break a statue.
Yep.
And that means a lot. And it's also part of the character's history. He's from Egypt. He was one of the first mutants, I think. Like 5,000 years old or something like that. So that adds a lot. You learn about the character without even having to pick up a book. It's like, oh wow, he's from.
And when you're paying for a piece like this size, you want something that really encompasses the whole character. And Bowen, that's like one of the specialties that they have is really, representing the iconic nature of the characters.
Yeah, all the little intricacies and stuff.
And this is just a beautiful piece. They've done a lot of detail work on this.
Even the base looks like aged rock. Like they actually sculpted in like cracks and stuff, crumbling around the steps. It looks like, a real life sculpture, that you've like uncovered somewhere.
Oh yeah. Now, as everyone should know, if you know who Apocalypse is, he's shape-shifting, has all kinds of different abilities, and he kind of morphs his hand into a gun. But if you don't want to have that, you can take off the very nicely sculpted gun. I mean, there's like all kinds of like little gears and like tubes. I mean, it's
like RoboCop's arm. It's like a super
just
cannon.
Awesome.
It's awesome.
But you can take that off and put on
the other hand. Basically, I'm a dictator hand. I use both hands to talk.
It's up.
Yeah.
There. So, like, you can choose which way you want to display him. Or, if you're tired of displaying him one way, you can put the gun back on. But, I mean, either way. And then on the back here, we have, his little tubes and everything. It's just really, really well designed.
Yeah.
And he looks very impressive. Very, very impressive on the shelf. So, we cover a lot of statues. And this is, like, one of the best pieces we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
But we don't cover as many toys anymore.
Yeah.
So we're going to fix that. We're going to take a look at the second wave of the Infinite Crisis figures.
So yeah, really cool. Like there's the three versions of the Wonder Woman, or say the lineage of the Wonderness. You've got Donna Troy here, and then you have Wonder Girl, Donna Troy, who was Wonder Girl during the 80s, and you have Wonder Woman in her basic, her all-out war gear and armor.
I thought they did a pretty good job with the Wonder Woman.
She looks really great because she doesn't look so muscular and manly like how she came on the Justice action figure set that Alex Ross did. Really
Alex Ross has his women a little too.
Yeah, he likes his women rough, tough. I guess.
Yeah.
But it's great because she looks very womanly. Very, it's a very definitive look. It's great, and the great thing about all the three Wonder Woman sculpts is that they could have just went with the same hairstyle. They actually went out of their way and gave them all unique, different hair looks and just the sculpt
and different bodies too. I don't think that Donna Troy and Wonder Girl have the same body.
No.
And that's the other thing where a lot of times you'll cheap out on that. Everybody's got different sculpts.
Yeah, and you gotta appreciate that as a collector. When you have the different intricacies between character. And I think the best figure for me out of this whole wave, next to Superman, because he's just so really big and nice, is the Firestorm. It's like one of the very first and rare Firestorm figures.
Yeah.
And they use that awesome...
And it's the new Firestorm.
And it's new Firestorm, Jason Rush. And it's got that really cool, transparent, flaming design going on, and that looks awesome, especially when you take it out and it's like the lights are hitting it like this. It looks really cool.
It's nice. Now, the only problem I have is these are a little more posed than sometimes you see on the DC Direct figures.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Superman, he looks very posed if he's in his, like, flying kind of pose. Yeah. I guess you can still do other things with him.
Yeah.
But he's kind of made to have that pose.
Yeah, basically, you can't do much with him.
And the Batman, he's actually pretty well articulated, but again, he'd look kind of funny if you put him in any other pose. It's cool that they picked a couple of, like, the core characters.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman.
Yeah, the Trinity there, the Holy Trinity.
But then you've got, the Donna Troy, the Wonder Girl, Firestorm. Those aren't characters you see very often.
Yeah, and it's a nice mix, It's nice to see different characters. They're so worth it,
It's when I first saw these in previews, I didn't think they were going to look that great.
Yeah, some of them.
Because they didn't look like they were posable at all.
Yeah.
And, they're quite articulated. It's, I don't know if it's my favorite DC Direct, but it's a pretty good set.
Yeah, I'd say it's worth it if you're up, if you're a completist or if you just like, collecting your favorite characters, especially rare ones like I said, Firestorm.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have it.
Oh yeah. So that's our toy and statue review. Like I said, it's been a while. You're gonna see them a lot more often, and we'll catch you later in the episode.
Yeah, see ya.
Some of these reviews may contain spoilers, so
watch at your own risk.
So I had the distinct pleasure, and I use that word very loosely, for reading the new Order Number 1, the Initiative, the Order Number 1. What a bad superhero team. I could say many things about this team, and I still would not be doing justice to how horrible this team is. When you replace half of your team in the first comic, got a little problem with that. You guys set up this whole, like, oh, this is the Order, and these are our new champions of California, but champions is taken, so we're going to call them the Order. And you replace half the team because they went out to celebrate and have a victory beer after the first fight. Okay, I understand they signed a contract, but come on. You just defeated the Infernal Man, which is a brand new character who is then taken into captivity by somebody, not S.H.I.E.L.D., but somebody higher. Didn't think there was anybody higher than S.H.I.E.L.D., but okay, let's see where that goes. But the leader of this team is horrible. How did he become the leader of the team? Is he a seasoned vet? Is he a high commanding S.H.I.E.L.D. officer? No. He is Tony Stark's AA sponsor. Because recovering alcoholics stick together, evidently. Not only does he happen to do that, but he also played Iron Man on television when there was a series out about the Avengers. So obviously, playing Iron Man on television should be able to make you the leader of a superhero team. No. The team's horrible. You replace half the team in the middle of the comic. The story is iffy. You keep going back to this AA sponsor guy and how he's changing his life because of this. And oh, by the way, the Initiative doesn't have any, like, regular superheroes in it. It's all these new people. And when I say new people, I don't even mean, like, those random characters from the past, like I thought it was going to be, popping up into a team and kind of, or, like, the new heroes that are up and coming, going on a new team and, like, winning the day and saving the day and becoming popular. No, they pick random people who apply for the job, and then they genetically alter them for 1 year. Because after 1 year, their body can't take it anymore. They can no longer be a superhero. So what we're dealing here is the new initiative is to take people who don't have any sort of background for this, give them powers for a year, and give them federal authorization to do this. Can you say beginning of villains all over the place? They're all just going to snap. The order's probably going to go downhill really quickly, and the whole initiative thing, horrible. You can skip this comic. You don't really have to buy it. If you want to see a new team that sucks, go for it. Otherwise, skip this comic.
All right, last week, Dynamite released issue number 1 of Terminator 2 Infinity. And that title really kind of irks me after you read it, because if it stays true to that title, I feel bad for all the people who have to work on this. I read it, sci-fi Terminator, how can you hate it? It's robots and, Judgment Day and all that stuff. Good movies, but this comic is really, really weak. It kind of picks up from the end of Terminator 3, which was bad enough to begin with, and it just goes downhill from that. It's John Connor in the bunker, crying and getting drunk. Oh, these people saved me to do this, and all these people died for my future to save the world, and all he does is like get drunk and bitch and talk to mannequins in the bunker. It's really bad and really lame. The end of it, he finally, gets some brass balls and goes out and says, I'm gonna go do something. And he goes down the street and there's crap going on because all the machines are killing people. And they end it in like the most cliche way you possibly could, where, he's on the ground, so he got hit by something that blew up, and this guy's like, come with me if you want to live. Woo! All the movies, they said that, now even the comics are saying it too. I really kind of hated myself for reading it, because it's just, no matter what they're gonna do in this comic, if something goes awry, or they're like, hey, that didn't work out, let's try to twist this story, it should be like, hey, the people that they're fighting have time machines. Let's just write another plot where they send something else back in time. Yeah! No. And still, Terminator 2 Infinity, that title really gets me angry, because if it is going to go on for a while, it's really a waste of effort. And the art in it was decent. Whoever's doing it, find a different job. You got some good stuff. You don't have to be doing this. But anyway, Terminator 2 Infinity, pass it. Just like I said, that cliche ending, come with me if you want to live. You don't know if he's another Terminator sent you again from the future to the past, or whatever. It just looks like some dude to me. And doesn't look good. Definitely pass it.
Alright guys, first book of the week, X-Men 201, which kicks off the second part of the story, Blinded by the Light. Now, if you caught last month's huge milestone 200th issue, we saw there was a massive betrayal of the team, and this has been plotted for who knows how long already, but it was totally unexpected. I'm not going to ruin it for you. 2 key former X-Men were part of this, and of course, Mystique, so that's a dead giveaway. So in this issue, we find the X-Men completely torn apart, invaded by the Martyrs. Bobby loses his power again, since he lost it again in post-House of M, and it's just utter complete chaos. The X-Men are in complete disarray. The mansion's being guarded by Kitty and Colossus, who have no idea what's going on. And it's just so much fun reading this book because it's taking so many twists and turns, you don't know what's going to happen next. Now, the art in this book, Ramos totally fits this. Completely energetic, big panels, big splash pages. There's not a dull moment. Even when there's like calm dialogue, it's just, his art just pops out at you. And Mike Carey was absolutely born to write the X-Men. The team dynamic, the dialogue is just so right, it's so natural, and it flows so well. So it should flow well from people who've been knowing each other for at least, 10 or 20 years in Marvel continuity. So also in this book, you got the 8-page backup tale, the endangered species crossover that's going on between all the X books, where Hank McCoy is trying to find a cure for the lacking X gene, which is, in part also being affiliated with the lack of mutant births. So he's striking deals, talking to people you would never imagine Hank McCoy talking to, all in order to save the species. And there's a big rumor going around that someone's going to bite it at the end of this, so we have yet to see where that goes.
X-Men First Class number 2, a good team. A team that we all know and love. A team because they're superheroes, and that's what they do because they have mutant powers, and what a great team they are. Not like the Order, because the Order sucks. But X-Men First Class, X-Men on Monster Island, basically, is what's going on in this comic. They have been given a mission by Professor Xavier to run off onto an island and get to this volcano, and they're going to stop an evil on this volcano, and the island has big monsters and tree monsters and butterfly monsters and winged monkey monsters from The Wizard of Oz. I like where they're going with it. The story sounds fun and sluice. They're getting mad at Xavier for not telling them exactly what's going on. He's just like, you got to go to that volcano and stop what's going on, because if you don't, the rest of the United States is going to be like this in a week. All right, we better go save the day. But at the same time, they're all kind of getting really angry that Xavier's just making them kind of like lapdogs. Just, go out there, attack the problem, and then come back home. So I like where the story's going. The art is nice. Everything about this comic is pretty much good. Good team. Skip the order. Pick up X-Men First Class number 2.
All right, guys. Next review, Amazing Spider-Man number 542. This is the pendulum issue where it's the throwdown between Wilson Fisk, the former kingpin of crime, who is on Rikers, getting ready to be deported for all he's keeping tab on the Daredevil book, because he is due to be deported, and Spidey. Now, this issue kicks off with just the most meaningful standoff, where there's just no words being exchanged by Peter, all by Wilson Fisk, and he's just pretty much, giving the play-by-play of how he set this up, and how he's just completely taking advantage of Peter, and Peter's just there, just taking it in, until finally there's this great moment where he, defines why he wears the black suit and why he doesn't cross certain lines and such, completely takes off the suit, and they go at it. And I'll tell you, there's no more like of a momentous occasion for that to happen, because it's no holds barred. This is Peter at his wit's end, and he just completely lets loose on Wilson Fisk. And this is one of the most strongest art infused like issues I've seen by Ron Garney ever, even on his Cap stuff, which I love. But this is Ron Garney at his pinnacle. This every panel, there weren't even that many splash pages. That's not the point. But the panels themselves spoke for themselves. The art is completely strong. Straczynski's writing is so meaningful, and there's just so much behind every word that even without the strong panels and Garney's artwork, you can kind of get an image of what's going on inside this jail cell. So anybody been following up, Peter pinned down Kingpin as who gave the order, and he's just letting him have it. This is basically the brawl issue. And he says this great line where it's only right that if this began with you, and if she dies, it ends with you, and I will come back for you. And there's just this stern aura in the air where, oh my God, this isn't Peter Parker anymore. This is somebody hell-bent on revenge and just looking to even the score, plain and simple. So this book is going to take the best other creative turn with the next issue. We're going to finally see what happens if Aunt May, lives or dies, or, Peter just has like this complete nervous breakdown. So again, Amazing Spider-Man, one of the top books, not only out this week, but, out this month. And with them going to 3 times a month, I guess this is just like a sneak peek of, what we're due to get. And it's going to be really good.
Ultimate Spider-Man number 111. This issue leaves us after the Clone Saga thing that just went down. If you didn't read it, pick it up. It's amazing. But you got Aunt May, who just found out that Peter Parker is in fact Spider-Man, and she's having a sit-down conversation with him about, why he does what he does, where he got his costume, how does he make webbing, why does he fight these bad guys. I don't approve of the use of violence, but I see why you do it. You're saving the world, and it's making the world a better place, and yada, yada, yada. I support you. Also, I've mentioned this comic, we've got a new villain, who I'm going to call Frank, because that was all I was told in the comic. His name is Frank something, but it's Frank, because that's all they said. Some lab tech research guy said, oh no, Frank, stop doing that. You're going to destroy us all. We're sorry it was an accident. But Frank is the guy who can open up the black holes and kind of punch through them and hit Spider-Man in the back when he's not looking, because he's got, black hole control and everything else. I forgot the name of that villain. Sue me. Someone's going to send me a hate mail about it. It's cool. I like the character, but whatever. So Spider-Man's talking about, what happened to him that day, and that's how they got in the whole, I was at the Daily Bugle, and then I heard about this guy and this Durbin of Roxxon, and Roxxon's really important right now because Roxxon has sent people out to assassinate him. There's always a big problem with Roxxon. Somebody's trying to kill somebody at Roxxon, or Silver Sable shows up because Roxxon hired them to track down Spider-Man, whatever it is. It's all about, Roxxon. So you got that going on. You got a new villain whose name is Frank, and Aunt May now knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And, she's trying to get over the fact that this is what's going on, and she's trying to tell Peter, you can't hold yourself responsible for Uncle Ben's death. But Peter Parker's just well, I got to. It's kind of my fault because I let the thief go. So great comic. The series goes really well. Also, I've mentioned this is Bagley's last issue. Bagley, you'll be missed.
So if you're familiar with the show, you know that I had to change my pants after I read War of the Undead. That series was just so great, despite the fact there was only 3 comics. It was still Nazis using universal monsters to try to win a war that they already lost because Hitler's dead, but they want to take his balls and put them onto Frankenstein's monsters, take his soul out of hell. So great. It's absolutely absurd, but it was amazing. I finally got a copy of the graphic. Compliments to Walter Flanagan because he liked my reviews so much, which I really, really appreciate. And the sketch you did on the inside cover, so nice. So if there's any other artists out there who like our reviews, just send us something, Tony Moore, Robert Kirkman, anything. But, yeah. Finally read the graphic, and there's actually, a prequel. There's, a 4-page prequel to War of the Undead. And there's a preview for the next graphic novel that's coming out. It's War of the Undead 2... Monster Apocalypse. Not Apocalypse, Holocaust, because it's Nazis. You gotta go with that. So anyway, the prequel to it was cool. They do a little innuendo to, the Invisible Man, and they have a nice scene where the Nazis have Dr. Jekyll, and they're trying to figure out, his serum and all this crap. And he's only Hyde knows the serum. And all this stuff, all this great stuff happens. Nazis killing Nazis killing Hyde, everything goes awry, and then it leads you up into the War of the Undead. And for the sample for the second one, all I gotta say is, you take out the Nazi element, and then all you have are just universal monsters. What can we have them fight? Aliens. Space aliens coming to invade the Earth. You guys did it again, Brian Johnson, Walter Flanagan. I'm so looking forward to the next series that you guys got. Your art's great. Your stories are amazing. I just hope these aliens are like satanic like the Nazis were, because that was a really nice touch that you did with their whole cult meddlings. Wonderful stuff. So if any of you out there who didn't seem to be interested by War of the Undead, you should be. And now it's all condensed in a nice little graphic, which is reasonably priced and a pretty enjoyable and somewhat quick read. So if you're looking for something new, it's got Nazis, mayhem, and monsters, check out War of the Undead.
Alright guys, time for this week's bullet points, starting with Wolverine. Now despite its very harsh critical review, number 55 delivers what we've all been waiting for, and my hat goes to Jeff Loeb and Simone Bianchi for being able to illustrate this defining moment in Wolverine's life with a great page. On to the next book, Mighty Avengers number 4, part of the Initiative. This week's holy shit moment, brought to you by Frank Cho and Brian Michael Bendis, sees the Century in complete shambles with a big casualty due to the all-out action in New York, thanks to Ultron. So next book, Incredible Hulk 108, Werewolf Hulk tie-in. Not so much a very important story to the overall Werewolf Hulk, mini, but still a very well illustrated and well-written book, and a good self-contained story that features Rick Jones and one of Hulk's allies during the war. On to the next Werewolf Hulk title crossover, Iron Man number 20. We see that Tony Stark is obviously not dead, but has become a POW, and that he has a big contingency plan in case they're able to stop the Hulk, and it's not looking too good for Manhattan right now. Captain America number 28, we see that the Red Skull's plans are just getting bigger by the minute. Bucky's gunning for Tony Stark, and anybody reading this book know that Eptings, Perkins, and Brubaker are titans in the industry right now. Annihilation Conquest, Quasar. We see that Fila Vale, formerly Captain Marvel number 4 or 5, now assumes the mantle of Quasar, protector of our galaxy. Start off issue looks really good, looks really promising, and I can't wait to see where this mini goes. Next Conquest crossover tie-in, Star-Lord. Perceived dead in the original Annihilation, he emerges from the ashes with a new look and a new mission. He has to stop the Phalanx before they completely penetrate the entire galaxy and turn everybody into drones. So that's this week's bullet points, and I can't wait to see you for next time.
Alright, so this week I go into the shop, and Kev's like, "Oh, Nick, I pulled some books aside for you. I pulled this one aside because I thought you might want it." I look at him like, "Kev, of course I want this! It's a Doug Tenable book! How often does Doug Tenable make books?" Apparently quite often. I just recently did a review for Iron West. Creature Tech came out years ago. Gear, they had a nice reprint. And now to add to your Doug Tenable collection, you can add Black Cherry, which was such a nice read. Iron West was kinda, great art, giant Western iron train robots, always a plus. But Black Cherry combines, I don't know, it's like Dr. Seuss meets Sin City meets Close Encounters. It's such an odd combination of things, but it works out so well. It has such a nice mafia undertone because there's one main character who has to steal a body out of his boss's house to help out a friend from another mafia, and bunch of crap hitting the roof. Long story short, Black Cherry is such a nice potluck of great original ideas that's really kind of hard to come by in graphic novels, especially like new graphic novels. And always, Tenable's artwork, on point. Still not as good as Creature Tech, which is kind of like a personal favorite of mine, but Black Cherry has such dynamic characters. You go from everything from like a humble priest to an alien priest. That's right. Aliens believe in Christ. All that pans out. And you go from characters like that to big lugs, like our main character, Eddie, who's just kind of like not a hitman, but he's like the muscle of these people. He kind of weasels his way in and out of things. But it's just such a great book. You have demons coming around trying to possess this alien who claims to be a priest because he actually was ordained a priest, because they feel that he can create life, and through that body they can create and kill life as they want. So demons always want to use good for evil. Pans out. Such a well-done story. And once again, Black Cherry, as a Doug Tenable book, it just screams of his unique theology, which I've always liked about his books. Not very religious myself, but these books just bring the whole good aspect of religion without having like, oh, this is right, this is wrong, these people do this, and we do what's right. It's not like that. It's all just, coming down to the core of it, of being like good, decent people. And it screams that in this book, despite the fact that you have demons, mafia, and an alien priest. But if anybody is looking for something that is a lurid tale of sex, violence, and the supernatural, definitely check out Black Cherry.
All right, guys, it's time for your monthly R&R segment, Research or Retcon. Now, why are we doing this? Well, despite the great talents of writing and artists out there, there's a lack of new reader-friendly terminology, and, there's not really much out there for the new kids to grab onto and try to get a hold of the concept of continuity, characterization, subplots, and all that other tricky stuff that goes into reading a comic book and or, an original graphic novel. So we're doing this segment to, pretty much break you in slowly to how certain characters have been changed or altered during the years, whether it be during a crisis, whether it be during a complete crossover or a company revamp. We're trying to sell you in slowly so that you can understand why writers do this and why it works out and why a lot of the time it does not work out. So here we go. This month we're spotlighting writer Judd Winnick and his core GCU title that made him a heavyweight writer, The Outsiders. For those of you that don't know what a retcon is, here's a definition. A retcon, or retroactive continuity, is the addition of new information to a historical material or deliberately changing previously established facts in a work of serial fiction. Now there are three types of retcons: addition, alteration, or subtraction to a character's abilities, history, powers, etc., etc. Now, up until recently, Thunder, Anissa Pierce, daughter of JLA member Jefferson Pierce, Black Lightning, as we all know him, was thought to be your typical character who grew up in her father's footsteps and took on the family mantle of being a superhero, when in all actuality it was revealed that lovely Anissa was a quote-unquote straight-up retcon, according to creator-slash-writer Judd Winnick. In a recent issue of Wizard magazine, Winnick revealed that during the initial inception of the Outsiders team, it was lacking a bit of a foundation and needed someone besides Nightwing, Dick Grayson, to take on the title leader should anything happen to him or should the book be altered in a dramatic fashion. So, in came Anissa, daughter of Black Lightning, who just appeared out of nowhere. And that's just how it works in the DC Universe a lot of the time. So there you guys have it, your first Research or Retcon, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right, that's it for Variant Edition.
Yeah, I like Lewis's Research or Retcon. Hell, we could probably spin some of those out as full-blown discussion shows.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But we do have a new discussion coming up at the beginning of August. We asked the question, are comics too expensive?
Whoa, that might be a lively one. We're looking for some feedback for that episode. Log on to our forum and let us know what you think. We'll read some of your thoughts during the discussion.
So this was a pretty cool episode, but I can't wait for next week. I think Kevin is going to pull out a few of the con episodes and finally get them out there.
That's right. In case you missed it during Tuesday's show, we mentioned that he has a new assistant, Leah, so the releases should start to increase pretty soon.
Finally.
Yeah. Also, we mentioned how cool Justin was last week. You want to be as cool as Justin with a sweet Variant Edition t-shirt? Check out VariantEdition.com for details on becoming a viewer sponsor.
Remember, there are quite a few ways to watch us here at Variant Edition. You got iTunes, Vio, YouTube, and Google Video. And don't forget our new high-res feed from Blip TV. Or head over to VariantEdition.com and watch us on our page.
Well, that's it for Variant Edition. We'll see you next time.
And don't cut. And then...
We have to do it again because of Noisy McNoise noise.
Did that pick up? I liked your energy. I don't want to risk it.
Okay.
Good night.